Hi, Laura. How are you today?
Hi, Brittany. I'm good. How are you?
Good. Thank you for taking a few minutes out of your afternoon to chat with me.
No problem.
I just had a few questions that are fairly high level about you and your organization. So, just to get us kicked off, could you talk a little bit about your organization and your role there?
Yes, our organization is a community health center, also known as a federally qualified health center. We serve about somewhere between 50 and 60,000 visits a year. We are located in Wichita, Kansas. We have 3 locations. Um, we're primarily funded by federal grant dollars, although we also have state dollars, some local foundations, and of course we have patient service revenue. So it's a complex business model, but our primary objective is to provide access to healthcare for our community. And yeah, it's a great mission to work for, I would say.
That's fantastic. And how did you come to work in the nonprofit space?
I started off in public accounting, so I have my master's in accounting, and I went to work in public accounting and got my CPA, and did a lot of work with nonprofit clients during that time. Joined a board of a local nonprofit here in Wichita, and um, at the end of that board term, they ended up offering me the job as their CFO. And so I did that for a couple years, and then I ended up jumping over here to where I'm at now.
Wow.
So it just sort of happened.
Yeah, that's quite a progression.
Yeah.
That's fantastic. And then diving in a little bit more, can you share some of the challenges that your organization has been able to overcome in the past few months?
Yeah, I think, well, if you're talking last few months, one of the biggest challenges that we've had is obviously COVID, considering that we are in healthcare and we serve a lot of the underserved, if you will. So we've seen a big spike in patients who have lost jobs, patients who say they cannot pay for the services. We have a very long list of services that we offer. So we do not just primary care, but optometry, dental. We have radiology, we have a pharmacy on site, a lab. And so patients need a lot of different services from us, and they've had trouble paying. However, we, as I said before, are federally funded. So we have been the recipient of a lot of federal grant dollars in the last couple of months under the CARES Act and the Families First Act. And so although we've had challenges, we definitely have tools to be able to overcome the challenges and serve the population that we're here to serve.
That's great to hear. It definitely is a tumultuous time, I think, for a lot of people.
Yes.
You mentioned some of the tools that you have at your availability. Has Sage Intacct helped at all with overcoming any of these challenges that you've been facing in the past 6 months or so?
Yeah, absolutely. I think that Sage Intacct has given us the ability within our general ledger to track all of our different funding sources. That is a luxury that not all of my peers in this particular environment have. So some of them are still tracking things in Excel, or trying to do reports that are piecemeal. And in our product that we use, we don't have to do that. Sage Intacct allows us to code everything specific to the funding source, the department, the location. And so it's very easy to run reports on our information to make sure we're not double dipping for some of our funding streams. A lot of these dollars are coming at us quickly, and they're coming from multiple different sources. And so the risk is that you would pay for one expense through multiple funding sources. So you'd charge 125% of the expense to only 100% of the revenue. And, you know, we don't have that risk. It's a 1-for-1. We can code the transaction. We know it will hit the right funding source, and we know we can run reports on it. So I would say we have a very sophisticated reporting system with Sage Intacct, and it definitely makes my job easier.
That's great. I'm so glad to hear that. And specific to your team, how does the finance team support your organization's mission impact?
Well, I think it's just important for us to make sure that we are good stewards of the money that we receive. And it's important for the rest of the organization to have confidence in, the work that we're doing. And so again, I think we have a very sophisticated tool when we're using Sage Intacct for all of our reporting and tracking. We provide monthly reports to all of the leaders in our organizations for their various different departments. They can also log in themselves and view their own information. And so I think we're supporting them. That way they don't have to do all of that extra administrative work when they're really just trying to do the job at hand.
Right, that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
And then just to close off, what advice would you give to other nonprofit finance leaders during this time?
That's tough. I would say to be flexible. I think that's something that's really important in the current environment, and also just with, the changing environment that we were in even before this. There's a lot of tools out there. There's a lot of ways to find efficiency. And so I think it's important to look for those resources and to think outside of the box, and again, to be flexible when it comes to making changes, because things are always going to happen, and you just sort of have to figure out a good way to, manage what comes your way.
Definitely. I couldn't agree more. That's great advice. Thank you for taking your time this afternoon to share some of that insight with us. I really appreciate it. It's been super helpful.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Have a great rest of your day. Bye-bye.
You too. Bye.